In level 4, it's going to be similar to level 3, but applying some rotations. So if we know that cotangent of theta is negative 2, for a negative cotangent, remember cotangent is x over y. Either x or y is negative, and we're not sure which. So we could be in quadrant 2, where y is positive and x is negative, or we could be in quadrant 4, where x is positive, y is negative. So let's just pick one. Let's say we're in quadrant 2. And we draw our little triangle. And cotangent is negative 2 over 1. So our x-coordinate is negative 2. The y is positive 1. Now, we want to find cotangent of theta plus pi. So we're applying a rotation. If this is theta, right here, and we add pi to that, we're going to make a 180 degree turn, because remember that pi is the same as 180 degrees. And I would end up with this angle over here, which would be really similar to the angle I just had, except it would have a positive x and a negative y, but the same numbers. So now cotangent of that angle is going to be x over y, cotangent theta plus pi. Here's, well, theta plus pi would be x over y, which is 2 over negative 1. That still comes out to negative 2. In this example, if I had started with my angle down here and then rotated pi, I would have ended up here. So it would have been the same thing. Either way, I'm going to get negative 2 for my answer. Now, in the next example, cosine theta is 1/2. So we know that cosine is positive, or x over r is positive. We must have a positive x value. So we might be in quadrant 1 or we might be in quadrant 4. So we kind of want to look at two cases here. If we're in quadrant 1, it might look something like that, where the x value is 1 and the r is 2. But we could also be in quadrant 4, which might look something like this, where x is still 1, r is still 2. So theta in this case is that little angle, theta in this case is the bigger angle, but either way we have a cosine of 1/2. Now cosine of theta plus 3 pi over 2, we're adding 270 degrees to that angle, or 3/4 of a circle. That puts me, if I rotate this angle 270 degrees, I'm going to end up about right there. And the triangle I get would now have still an r value of 2, but the y value is going to be negative 1. If I did the other case, where I rotate 270 degrees, I would end up right here. With this triangle, we have a y value of negative 1, an r value of 2. So either way, we're going to get now a y value of negative 1, an r value of 2. And then we want to find cosine of this angle. So my x changed. Now I have to use Pythagorean theorem to find that missing side. So 1 squared plus x squared equals 2 squared, we get 1 plus x squared equals 4, x squared equals 3, x equals the square root of 3. So this measurement, which was the y value before we rotated, is radical 3, and then after we rotated, that became the x value, radical 3. And this would be negative radical 3 because it's in the negative direction on the x-axis. So then cosine of theta plus 3 pi over 2 would be, if we look at the first case, x over r would be radical 3 over 2. But if we look at the second case, we get x over r would be negative radical 3 over 2. So either of those is possible.